Yo guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be talking about the most OP gun in every COD game. If you enjoy, please like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get into it. So the only criteria I have for this is that I can count patched weapons. Anyway, we'll start with COD 4 and then we'll start off strong with the M16. The M16 was unlocked at level 4 and I could make a good argument to say there's no point using any of the AR in the rest of the game. It had high damage and was almost always a one burst, coupled with stopping power. It was guaranteed to be a one burst. It also had quite low recoil as well. One thing that's actually quite obscure is that in the original COD 4, this gun was actually nerfed. Back then, updates of games were basically non-existent, so if you want to have your mind blown, you already have. On to World at War, where we have the MP40. The MP40 was unlocked at level 10 and was an insanely broken weapon. How so? Well, this damage did 59 damage per shot, at least on console. Interestingly enough, on PC it actually did 10 less damage. But this made it a two-shot within 22 meters. So, instead of stopping power, most people ran Juggernaut for more shithousery. So, if you don't know what Juggernaut is, it is not the current killstreak. It was a perk that reduced damage done to the player by 25%. Not give you 25% more health, as some people will claim. Now, admittedly, this gun did have a fairly slow fire rate of 535 rounds a minute, so some people would use double tap instead of Juggernaut. Onto MW2, where I could go with a lot of weapons, but I'm just going to go with the UMP45. So, the UMP45 was unlocked right as creator class, so at level 4, I was good enough to carry you throughout the whole game. It has quite low recoil, and combined with stopping power, very high damage. In fact, for example, the UMP was a 2-shot within 15 meters and a 3-shot in all other circumstances. It also had actually quite high penetration for an SMG, and a very cursed fire rate of 666 rounds a minute. Now on to Black Ops 1, where I'm going to go with the AK-74U. Now, I could have went with the FAMAS, but I personally think the AK-74U is better. So you got this gun at level 17, and it was worth every COD point, the BO1 version, not the modern version. It was a 3-shot within 19 meters, although it dropped quite quickly, being a 5-shot at 25 meters. However, this gun had a very fast 750 RPM, which more than makes up for it. It also had quite low recoil, which made the gun a lot easier to use, especially compared to the FAMAS. Next, Modern Warfare 3, where I'll go with the ACR. Now, you got the ACR quite late at level 50. Now, given Modern Warfare 3 has 80 ranks, this is only about 60% of the way through. However, you would be blessed with probably the best gun in COD history, at least in my opinion. You would get a guaranteed 4-shot kill with a fire rate of 705 RPM, which is quite good for AR, coupled with its low recoil. And if you use extended mags and had specialists, then yeah, you would probably feel like an actual god using this. It's time for BO2, where I'm going to go with the MSMC. Now, this gun was unlocked at level 27, and was a 3-shot kill within short range. It also had a high fire rate of 750 rounds a minute. However, its recoil was fairly high, and it was a 6-shot at certain ranges. And it was nerfed alongside the previously OP PDW-57, which was destroyed after this update. Patched or not, this gun is still certainly worth using in BO2, if you can find a lobby that isn't hacked up anyway. Now on to Ghost, where I'm going to say the MSBS. Now, this gun was certainly very BS, although only for about a month. Yeah, this gun nowadays is actually below average, but it was very good for this during the launch window of Ghost. It still has the capability of a one burst. However, the fire rate is a lot worse. Its modifiers are worse, as in like headshots, chest shots, etc. Its damage range is a lot worse. I mean, in some cases it can take 3 bursts to kill someone. However, go look up some pre-patch footage, you'll enjoy. Next, Advanced Warfare, I'm going to go with the Battle 27 Obsidian Steed. The Battle 27 was already very OP anyway, but because Advanced Warfare had OP variants with stat changes, the Obsidian Steed was actually better than regular variant. It had a higher base damage, and it had some quirks, like the recoil was slightly higher, which didn't really affect this gun too much, and the really weird fact that at mid-range it actually had a lower TTK than at close range. It also had slightly slow fire rate on the first few bullets, but overall not much to affect it too much. Sadly, this was only in supply drops, so you'd have to be very lucky to get it, but you would be definitely treated after gambling your life savings. Now, BO3, I'm going to go with the XMC, a futuristic version of the MSMC that I mentioned before. This gun was released in supply drops almost 2 years after the release of BO3. However, this gun was insane for anyone who was lucky enough to get it. This would actually include me, as you can tell from the footage. I actually got it from a daily double a few years ago, which I was very lucky to get, because if you've seen the drop rates of weapons, especially in BO3, it's quite low actually. Anyway, this weapon had high damage, although the main appeal is the low recoil, the high-ish fire rate at 800 RPM, which is fairly slow for BO3 if I remember, especially for SMGs, and it had a very low TTK. Overall, definitely the best gun in BO3, at least in my opinion anyway. Next, Infinite Warfare, we have the Proteus, a shotgun sniper hybrid which admittedly was fairly unimpressive normally, besides the fact that for about a day or two, this was probably one of the most broken guns I've ever seen. Basically, if you hip-fired the gun in sniper mode, it would be a guaranteed one-shot kill, and it was also a hit scan to add insult to injury. As I mentioned before, Infinity Ward patched this one quite quickly, but for that small time it was insane. Also, despite this also being a DLC weapon, in Infinite Warfare you get the base variant for free, so yes, everyone gets the rights to this, I guess. So that's one thing. On to Cold World War II, where I'm going to go with the combat shotgun, which could be kind of controversial because there was a fair few guns that were broken in Cold World War II, especially a lot of LMGs, just due to the way, especially on shipment, this gun was just fucking annoying. But personally, I found this one even worse, especially with the incendiary shells. Coupled with its very consistent one-shot kills and its very high capacity for a pump-action shotgun, and this one was a nightmare, like with the LMGs on shipment. So, yeah, there you go, there's the double whammy for you. Next, BO4, where I'm just going to say the Sork 9mm, because, if I'm being honest, I never really saw much else. Might be because I didn't really play too much BO4, so I didn't see many of the DLC weapons. However, I recall this gun being quite good, with medium recoil and a high fire rate, meaning that this gun was quite dominant at low to mid range, although it did struggle a lot at long ranges, but that's not very uncommon for an SMG, so it doesn't really matter too much. Now, Modern Warfare 2019, which I'm going to go with the Asphaltite. It came out in Season 6, and it was actually broken on launch with an attachment that higher the damage and penetration. The penetration increase meant that walls were basically just a suggestion, but this was patched within a few days. However, the regular version was just as OP, or, well, not quite, but you know what I mean. It had an integrated suppressor, a high fire rate, low recoil, and a very fast reload at about 1.5 seconds. It also had a low TTK, although basically everything in Modern Warfare 2019 did. Anyway, on to Cold War, I'm going to say the Tech 9. This was an SMG that actually started off as a semi-auto SMG, but with an attachment, which would make it fully auto. However, this attachment, at least originally, kept the higher semi-auto damage of fully auto, which, yes, meant that this gun was a 3-shot, and it also had decent range for an SMG as well, so it wasn't even like it had low range. And given Cold War has a fairly high TTK on average, yeah, this meant this gun was absolutely insane. Hell, even nowadays, they didn't really nerf it too much, at least compared to the EM2, which came out in the same season, and the Marshalls. So, even still, this gun is still worth using, and probably the best gun in the game even today. Next, Vanguard, where I'm going to go with the Type 100 with the 30 caliber Russian mags, which, around launch, was a 3-shot with very low recoil. I recall that this was only around for a few weeks. This combination was very OP to whoever was in the know, which included me. I don't really see this as very proud, because it wasn't that obscure, it was just not everyone was onto it. This combo was nerfed into the ground, and coupled with the fact that the Type 100 wasn't that good outside of this mag conversion, and they added so much kick, and Mule would be proud of this one. Modern Warfare 2 2022, where I'm going to go with the KV Broadside. I will also do an honourable mention to the Vaznev 9K, which was a very consistent gun in MW2, especially with weapon tuning and whatnot. However, the KV Broadside was a lot worse. I would love to know the exact person who authorised this. It had very good range, fairly good damage, and coupled with fire shells, it was exactly what you thought it was. This terrorised Warzone for a fair bit, to the extent that it was basically unplayable for the time that this was in the meta. And yeah, there isn't really much else to say about it other than the fact that, yeah, it's high range, well, has good range, has good damage, and was broken in Warzone for a while. Finally, MW3, where I'm just going to go with the longbow. Yes, it has been nerfed a bit. However, if you remember around launch, this gun, despite supposedly being a sniper, was basically being used like an SMG, especially in shipment. It's still quite good nowadays, although it has definitely seen better days. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment down below what I should cover next, and yeah, bye.